Welcome to Health Coach for Women. Intentional living for more happiness and fulfillment in your everyday life with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. Join Marsha as she shares her own personal wellness journey, as well as stories from our guests that will enlighten and inspire you to move towards better health and happiness. Now, here's your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker.
Welcome to another episode of Health Coach for Women. Today, I want to talk to you about rebooting your mind, body, and soul for 2021. This year has been a rough year, definitely, no doubt, no question about it, right? Many people have gone through so much, losing loved ones, or even dealing with their own health problems this year. And in addition to the economy, racial injustice, everything that's been going on and happening in the world, has been a trying time for many. Now, for others, it's been great. For others, it's been their best year ever. Companies, some business people in business, things has been good. So I'm not just going to give you the bad side, but also for businesses and for some businesses, they have been great. Like the big companies, Amazon, Walmart, and things like that. But not just them alone. You have new entrepreneurs that's been that started out with their business and has actually been doing great as well. So I want to congratulate those entrepreneurs who stepped out on faith and is still going strong and doing well. But I want to talk to you today. My focus is for 2021. How can you get started with rebooting your mind, your body, and your soul for the coming year? How can we do that? Well, we can do that in a number of ways, right? And so when we look at mental, right, having that mental clarity, getting your mind mentally prepared, right, and to make that shift, it can be difficult, right? Because we're so stuck on what's happening right now. We could be so stuck on everything that's happened, that could be going on in our lives right now. That can make it a bit challenging. Right. And that's natural. But you can get past that. You can gain that mental clarity. You can do that. And by one of the ways in which you can do that is to focus on the present. Right. You've heard me talk about that a number of times, being present, focusing on the present of here and now. Right. And we have to let go of the past. We have to let go of the past, of the things or people that have done to us in the past that have hurt us, or even if it's the things and the bad mistakes that we've made in our own lives, to letting go and forgiving ourselves for the past mistakes. Forget about that. Remember that everything that you go through, every trial that you experience is nothing more than a teachable lesson, nothing more than for something for you to learn so that you can know and to strengthen you as well, so that you can know what to do and to help others, right? From what you've learned and what you've benefited from your experience, you can help someone else, right? And so that's what you have to be able to do. You have to be able to let go of the past, right? Forgive those and forgive yourself. Some of those things is hard for people to do, and I know I've been there, right? So it's hard to let go of the past when you're stuck blaming yourself or blaming someone else for something that has happened to you. But the only way to break free of that, sisters, is to really just put the past behind you accept and acknowledge what has happened, right? And we're not saying to say, okay, well, it's something that, I to accept what someone has done, right? And it may be something that it was wrong and treacherous. But we have to, in order to move forward, because see, it's not about the other person. Forget about the other person. It's not about them at all. It's about you and your well-being, and you moving forward to a greater place in your life. And it starts by letting go and forgiving. And with that letting go, you forgive, right? And when you really forgive, then your heart begins to open. Your heart begins to open. So I want you to focus on the present, right? And I always talk about doing your breathing exercises along with meditating or praying, whatever it is that you feel that connects with you, that resonates with you, and finding that gratitude and simply by saying thank you upon rising in the morning, right? And throughout the day, you'll notice that you by just simply saying thank you, just saying those words alone, right? Thank you, that you're able to wake up and you're able to see the sun the sun rise in the morning, the sun as it shines its light, in your home, right? To be able to do that, to be able to look at your loved ones and to be able to see them or hear their voice, that's a blessing in itself. So it all depends on the lens you are wearing, the lens. What lens are you looking through, right? So it's all in your perspective and how you see and view the world. We can't get stuck in that old story of why me and why did this had to happen to me. And we have to let go of that old story, create a new story, develop a new story, right? A new story that's going to empower you, not disempower you. So that's one of the ways that you can do that. And so trust what you do not see. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by trust what you do not see? Right? We don't see the air. We don't see the air, but we know that it exists, right? Or else we would not be able to breathe. We would not be able to breathe if the air did not exist. So when I say trust what you do not see, trust and know that the Creator supports you in everything you do, in making decisions, making the best decisions that is right for you, right? Right for you and your family. So trust the process, trust the Creator, and trust and know that God supports you, right? And so whatever you believe in, I am a believer. And so whatever you believe in, trust and know that you're supported. You're supported by your Creator. And you're not abandoned. He's not abandoning you. I want you to also have affirmations, right? Having affirmations, creating this new story, telling yourself, I am worthy. And everything that I've gone through this year has done nothing but strengthen me. I have found power. I've found my voice. I've found what I'm truly passionate about. I found what I love. I found something. There has to be something that you've learned throughout this year. There has to be something. I don't care what it is. There is something that you have to say that you have learned throughout this year. And so even if for you, if it was a negative experience or if it was a positive experience, whatever that was, use that as your affirmation to empower you, to empower yourself and to get stronger within yourself so that you can go into 2021 with this new empowering perspective. And that next year, God willing, will be better than 2020, right? And so we should always be in a place of being optimistic and positive, optimistic, operating from a higher frequency, right? Operating from this place of love. We should always be operating from this place of love instead of fear. And so you'll notice as you lose the fear and you get rid of the fear, that things become clearer to you. You have more confidence in your decisions, right? You can see things clearly with a better perspective. You have that clarity that you're seeking. You'll have that clarity, and just by getting rid of the fear. And so, even if there's always doubts about some things, you may always have some doubts or not sure, right? But your gut intuition, that first response that you get, from your own being, sometimes that inner voice is telling you something. And it's just like when you're taking a test, right? And, I've experienced this quite a few times. I'm reading the question, right? And then I tend to dig too deep into the question instead of simply just answering the question. Read the question, look at what it's asking, and then make the best choice. And usually your first choice is the correct answer. And what would I do? I'll go back debating because I'm thinking too much into the question, reading too much into the question. And so I'll change my answer. I'm sure many of you can relate to that. And you choose a different answer. But that first thought, that first answer was the answer. So I use that as an example, that to be able to trust yourself. Trust yourself in the decisions you make, and you do that by getting rid of the fear. You do that by getting rid of the fear and knowing that you're supported, right? Knowing that you're supported by the higher power, the higher power. And believe and trust and believe and have faith and know that everything is okay. And even when things are not, you know that at that moment and at that time, it is only temporary. It's a temporary thing. It's not permanent. It is only temporary. Right? So we have to have that. We have to practice these things daily. Practice deep breathing. And I'm moving on now to have it with the body now, with your body, movement, doing some stretching, right? Doing twists. I mentioned before, doing twists is detoxifying, help detoxifies the body. What foods are we putting into our mouths, right? What foods we are putting into our mouths. And so it's a slow process. It's not something that has to come overnight, but it's something that we should work on and strive towards daily to doing better. What foods are we eating? Okay, you have high blood pressure. Well, what foods can you take that you shouldn't be eating high sodium foods, right? Foods with high sodium. That you shouldn't consume those foods. You shouldn't be smoking, right? You shouldn't be smoking because it also has an effect on your heart and your lungs, your heart, and the cholesterol buildup in your arteries, right? Puts you at greater risk for heart disease. So we have to be mindful of the things that we choose to do, the things that we choose to eat, the things that we choose to put into our bodies, right? And so that's very important. Eating more fruits and vegetables, grains, whole foods, leafy greens, taking your supplements, having your supplements, taking your vitamin C, your zinc, which is just vitamin C, which is great for boosting your immune system, zinc, which helps your mitochondria, and so you have to just be mindful of everything that we eat and everything that we do and everything that you thinking. There's a thought process. Every time when you think something, you're putting it out there. And so what you put out, you get back. So you want to take care of, you know that our bodies is made up of mostly over 70% of water, right? So we have to take care of what's our temple. We have to take care of our temple. And feeding ourselves with nutrient-rich foods, right? Staying hydrated, drinking water, drinking plenty of water and flushing our system out and being more mindful in what we put into our bodies is going to help us get that clarity. Another thing that, which is also good is fasting. Fasting is great for the mind, body, and the spirit, right? Because what that does, now to fast, it requires discipline, right? So it requires that mental discipline and for you to fast. So disciplining yourself by doing an intermittent fasting, eating, having something in the morning, and then the intermittent fasting where you'll have something later on in the evening, you have another meal, and throughout the day you would not consume food, nor water. But everybody's fasting is different. Different religions and cultures have a different way of fasting, but you can fast, and that in itself does something for the body. It actually, clears the body and detoxifies it. It gives the body a chance to reboot itself. So it's just like the computer. You're running the computer all the time. You're on the computer. You have all these windows open, and what happens? It slows down, and things are not running properly as they should. So what do we have to do? We have to restart the computer, shut it down, reboot. Same thing. Our bodies require the same thing. So we need to do the same thing with our bodies. Hit that reset button, restart, reset, reboot. Let's do some fasting. Maybe having, instead of this full course breakfast, maybe you can have just a shake, a healthy shake, banana, and maybe a boiled egg, something like that. Everybody body is different. So you have to know your body also. That's another thing. It's knowing your body. Some people don't eat breakfast in the morning. Me personally, I'm a breakfast person, but I don't have to eat lunch. I can skip lunch and it doesn't bother me. I'm fine with that. So just knowing your body, getting to know you fully, your body, your mental, your physical, your spiritual. We have to really connect with that, connect with ourselves, right? And so for the body, improving the body is by doing simple things. So again, breathing is a part of that. And with the breathing meditation, and doing stretching and twists along with the fasting gives the body its reboot. And so I want to move on now to the soul, your spirit. I talked about there was an episode on nourishing your spirit, right? Nourishing your soul. And so how do we do that? Again, gratitude is one of those things. Gratitude and forgiveness. Forgiveness, I can say this about forgiveness. Forgiveness is not just something that you need to do for your mental, you need to do it for your spiritual as well, right? To be able to forgive, because once you can forgive, you open your heart and you allow the abundance to flow to you. You allow that. What you do when you choose not to forgive someone, you're holding on to something, right? You're holding on to that bitter past. You're holding on to something instead of moving forward and letting that go. And that doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve you at all in any manner, shape, or form. Okay, so we have to forgive in order to move forward for our own spiritual well-being and mental well-being. We need to forgive. And when you're able to open up your heart, you're able to allow that abundance to flow. You allow more love, and you have more love for yourself as well, right? And so whatever you were holding on to, having that bitterness and that anger, and because you're upset what someone did to you, and you're so upset because maybe, oh, I was such a fool to believe this person, or I was such a fool to do that, or you're blaming yourself, maybe some childhood trauma, you blame yourself for that, right? You blame yourself for that trauma. And you're not to blame. You're not to blame for that. As an adult, now, if you choose to hold on to it as an adult, yes, you have to blame yourself. If you're choosing to hold on to being bitter towards someone because you're choosing that. Remember, we were given free will. So if you're choosing to hold on to that, that's the choice that you're making. So if you want to improve and if you want to do better, it's not about being perfect. It's not about being perfect at all. It's about being better for you. And being better for you is being better for your family, right? And so many times we do things and we say, oh, we need to do this because, our family, for our children and for our partners, our husbands, mates, whatever, we need to do that because we need to be there for them. But don't you matter? Don't you matter? So you have to look at you and reflect on you and love you 100% in order to be even a better mom, a better mate, a better sister, a better, friend, whatever. And so that's why that's so important. It's so freeing when you can forgive, forgiving yourself or someone else. It's so important. And displaying acts of kindness, just acts of kindness, there's so many blessings in that in itself. Acts of kindness, giving someone a compliment, holding the door, without wanting anything in return, giving someone, a total stranger, some money, and sometimes, you may see someone on the street begging, oh, he just wants to buy drugs, or oh, he just wants to do this, or she just wants to get high with it. That may or may not be the case. We don't know that. We don't know that for sure. Yes, maybe someone could be displaying some signs of possibly being intoxicated or something like that. But for the most part, there are people out there who are homeless and who don't do drugs. They're just at a point in their life where they're having a difficult time. So we need to be supportive. We need to be supportive of the people in our community. And even if you gave something $1, $5, $10, whatever you want to give, and to help someone else, and maybe it's not someone homeless on the street. Maybe it's your neighbor, maybe this mom next door that lives near to you, or this elderly woman next door lives near to you and doesn't have a way to get out and get groceries, right? She doesn't have a way. She doesn't have anyone to call to get out. Hey, are you okay? Is something that I can do for you? Do you need something? Just little acts. And that's a part of love. That's a part of loving, loving your community, loving the people who are around you. All right. And you don't have to know them. It's just that common courtesy, that common act of kindness of being connected with your community, because we are all one. We come from one source. And it doesn't matter if they look differently than you. It doesn't matter if they have a different faith from you and what you believe. What I love most and I can always say this, is diversity. Being able to learn from one another and being there for my community and hoping that my community would be there for me as well. And so as we move into, because we're already in December, so as we move along through the remaining weeks, it's going to go by pretty quickly. Let's get prepared now. Let's be prepared now by just being present, being grateful. Let's start making that change and those new habits. Let's start putting those new habits in place now, in place today, starting right now, today. Let us start practicing a new way, right? And a new way of being, a new way of loving and caring, a new way of expressing yourself and coming to know you, coming to know who you are. And let's just start out by doing that. Being grateful, saying thank you, trusting the process, right? Trusting, having more faith, having those affirmations. A journal is another great way to write those things down. When you're not feeling at your best, you can journal it. There's no need in holding anything in. There's no need in holding it in and holding in the pain and holding back the tears. If you need to express it and get it all out, get it all out, and let's do that. Let's go into 2021 with a new mindset and totally transform ourselves, right? Totally transform ourselves into having ourselves prepared, because what it's doing, it will set you up for a new way of thinking, a new way of being, and to prepare you for whatever your New Year's resolution is, right? For many people, they say they want to lose weight and, whatever it is, you want to start your new business, you want to start your business. Well, let's get started now. Let's get started today, right now, with doing these things, right? Stretch, breathe, right? Write your affirmations, pray, say thank you, right? Do your twist, your breathing, learn to forgive, write yourself a letter, write a letter to yourself, right? Or write a letter to that person, they don't have to receive it, but it's a way of expressing those emotions and getting them out and not holding on to those emotions, not holding on to those things of the past that's been holding us back. We're not going to be held back anymore, right? We're going to go into 2021 with a new perspective, right? A new story, a new perspective. And we are going to operate from a higher frequency of love, right? Instead of fear. And so fear can mean two things, right? False evidence appearing real and face everything and rise, right? So how you view the world becomes your reality. So we're going to have a new reality. And that new reality is that I am no longer afraid. And if I am afraid, it's okay, but I'm going to step into this new version of myself anyway and do it anyway. Because I'm worthy, I'm abundant, I am love, I am beautiful, intelligent, I'm creative, and I have so much in me that I can share with the world. Find whatever it is for you. Whatever it is for you, that purpose, that calling, that aha moment, whatever it is for you, find that. And you can find that by implementing just these little things that I've mentioned to you today. So that's all I have for you today on this episode. I thank you so much for tuning in. I thank you for listening in, and be blessed. Have a fabulous week. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening to Health Coach for Women with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to rate, subscribe, and review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate that effort. Until next time.